Why do you love your favorite Pokémon? I think that most people would say they caught it in a mainline game, whether it be a starter, a wild Pokémon, or a legendary that they caught through the story. When you're with the right Pokémon, using them through your adventure can leave a lifetime impression on you. But it's still in the context of this Pokémon being wild and you taming it. And the thing is, not everyone's favorite Pokémon backstory involves a human, or a trainer, or taming anything. In fact, my favorite kinds of backstories are people who grew attached to their favorites thanks to the Mystery Dungeon games. What makes it so different is purely the way Pokémon are presented in these games. You've heard me talk about Poképark plenty, and it's the same case. They get to speak, they have human personalities, motives, feelings, and they exist in a world without humans. Now, because of this, you obviously wouldn't get attached to a Pokémon from Mystery Dungeon the same way you would a Pokémon in a mainline game. I think about this topic a lot and I really want to make a video about it. And I've wanted to make one about Mystery Dungeon in general for a long time now. So I decided on this, Pokémon that I love, not because of the mainline games, but because of Mystery Dungeon specifically. And now for a brief disclaimer. Unfortunately, I have never finished Gates to Infinity. Because of that, I don't have first-hand experience with the characters to include them in this video. So this video will be only including the characters from Rescue Team, Explorers, and Super. But to the Gates fans out there, I want to let you know that I plan to play through the game and make a video entirely dedicated to covering it. When that time comes, I want to give it lots of love. And with that out of the way, let's get started. Let's start with this very important bird. A lot of people usually think of Kecleon for representation of the Mystery Dungeon series, but to me, a lot of the time, Pelipper comes to mind first. He is more the face of Rescue Team than any other entry, but he arrives at your base every morning to deliver news to you, and their post office is where you go to get jobs every day to rescue Pokémon. And he even appears front and center in the cinematic opening for the title screen. And not to forget, he's the Pelican you want to see if you're in need of a rescue from other players around the world. If not for him, we'd be without an online rescue system. Rescue Team was my first Mystery Dungeon, and my first spin-off Pokemon game I ever played. So it actually was my first exposure to Pelipper, and I remember always really admiring him. These pelicans keep the Pokemon world spinning, and we should thank them for it. Staying on the topic of Rescue Team, we have the face of one of the most memorable scenes in the entire game. Xatu, who endlessly stares out into the sun, plays a super vital role in your journey, using his psychic mind to inform you of disastrous events. He does cause some trouble by failing to deliver the entirety of his vision to the player, but it all turns out okay in the end, and he even helps you save the world from destruction. His resting place upon the Hill of the Ancients is beautiful in pixels, and it's even more gorgeous recreated with the watercolor art style in the Switch remake. He even makes a guest appearance in a post-game arc of Super Mystery Dungeon. Xatu is a cool Pokemon already, but his role and personality in these games definitely made me love him even more as a kid. I think Chatot is one of those Pokemon that owes almost all of his popularity to Mystery Dungeon. He's a major character in Explorers, and a really, really good one at that. But I find he gets a lot of unwarranted hate. Yes, he absolutely does some frustrating things to your character and the partner throughout the game, but I think a lot of it is reasonable from Chatot's perspective. The thing people tend to bring up the most is the perfect apple incident, when your player failed to bring the perfect apples back to Chatot for Wigglytuff, as a result of Team Skull getting in the way, and they were denied dinner that night as punishment. Yes, it is unfair, but you have to understand Chatot's perspective. Getting those perfect apples were the one thing standing between Wigglytuff and possibly destroying the entire guild with one big Ta. I think I'd be kinda stressed out myself if that was resting on my shoulders. But putting aside the hate that he gets, I love this little bird. He does good work, and despite his tough love attitude, he cares a lot for everybody in the guild, especially you and your partner. Of course, not to mention his backstory with Wigglytuff has made me cry a few times in my lifetime. So let's give this parrot a break. A very, very well-deserved one. In the list of popular Explorer characters, I find Armaldo tends to be an often forgotten one, which is fair considering he only appears in one of Sky's special episodes. But that doesn't make him any less amazing. He's the centerpiece of Wigglytuff's backstory, and the reason behind the Guildmaster's strong belief that there are truly no bad Pokémon in the world. I find this to be a recurring theme in the game Explorers, especially for one certain ghosty boy that we all love. In this special episode, Armaldo shows us that he has a good heart, despite his tough exterior. That's why it's all the more heartbreaking to learn that he used to be an outlaw, and his misdeeds have finally caught up to him. I think we could all relate to Igglybuff's tears as he got taken away, but he did leave us with one promise, that he would repay his debt to society and return to Igglybuff when he becomes a true explorer. For years, the story was left at that, until Super Mystery Dungeon treated us to the reveal that Armaldo fulfilled his promise and became a proper explorer, having redeemed himself from his time as an outlaw. He even mentions traveling with an Igglybuff, who went on to become a famous Guildmaster. While it's not said for sure whether or not Armaldo has met up with Wigglytuff since his release, I like to think they had a very happy reunion. When it comes to mainline games, I find a lot of people associate Armaldo with Steven Stone, and he gets a lot of love that way, but for me, I'll always associate him with Igglybuff. Boogie woogie woogie, you're my dad. Since Super is still a relatively new game and a lot of people haven't played it still, I actually don't really want to get into spoilers for it like I do with the others. But all I can say is Nuzleaf is a total dad, and he's great. If you want to experience a really good dad time, you should play Super, and check out how dad this guy is. Yeah, that's all. Dadleaf. I love this dad. Well, we all know he had to be here eventually. I feel like every Kecleon lover in existence has to have played Mystery Dungeon. It just isn't a true entry without him. These two brothers are the iconic shopkeepers throughout the games, one being green and one being purple, which, by the way, isn't even the mainline shiny color for Kecleon. Purple Kecleon is just a pure result of Mystery Dungeon. A lot of the popularity for these merchants really comes from their immense strength if you dare steal from them in a dungeon. If you can steal an item from them and live to get away with it, it is something to put on your resume. To add on to their godlike strength, their base recruitment rate is a whopping negative 49%. This means it is impossible to recruit them unless you've upped your odds with a maxed out level and a golden mask, and even then the odds are constantly against your favor. But if you luck out and actually get one on your team, you can count on them to be your strongest member, with stats capable of overtaking legendary boss fights. In the mainline games, Kecleon is just a normal camouflaging lizard, but in Mystery Dungeon, he is nothing short of a legend. I think I speak for most people when I say we have a love-hate relationship with Dusknoir. After playing Explorers, you'll probably activate a fight-or-flight response every time you run into one in the mainline games, but it's for incredibly good reasons. Among the cast of major characters, Dusknoir leaves one of the most resounding impressions. He stars as a cruel, devious antagonist for the main game, and then turns around with a thought-provoking redemption arc in the final special episode. He is a vital member of the future trio and a beautiful example of how even the most dastardly villains can turn themselves around, tying right back in with the Guildmaster's belief that no Pokémon is truly bad. As a bad guy, I love this ghost, but I love him even more as a companion and hero. I think it's safe to say that yes, Dusknoir, your life shined, and it was gorgeous. While I live, I want to shine. I want to prove that I exist. If I could do something really important, that would definitely carry on into the future. And so if I were to disappear, I think that all I would have accomplished will go on. That would mean it's living, right? Who knew that when they chose this spunky little Grovyle for a major role in Explorers, they'd really be creating what is possibly the best written Pokemon character, not just in Mystery Dungeon, but in the entire franchise. The brilliance of this character took an overlooked mid-stage and made him one of the most popular starters, possibly even more beloved than his final stage. Grovyle starts out as a presumed villain and turns into one of the most courageous heroes in all of Pokemon. He's willing to sacrifice his very existence for the sake of a bright future for all those to inherit it. He believes that if your life shines bright enough, your legacy will live on through the rest of time. And thanks to that, you'll never truly be dead. Even if it costs him his life to save the future, the impact it makes would let him live on forever. For some, this is a life-changing sentiment, and something really impactful when experienced at a young age. Grovyle has put me through emotions like no other Pokemon character has, and if it weren't for that, I'd never have thought twice about him. He's the reason I really can't ever use a Sceptile. I'm just too attached to Grovyle to evolve him. I was going to end off this video on Grovyle, but there is one last special boy we need to acknowledge. Because thanks to Mystery Dungeon, this beaver went from an underloved HM user to a precious fan-favorite friend. He is just the outright sweetest character you'll ever meet. He's eager to help and excited to make friends. He loves his family and he's out exploring the world to make them proud. He suffered through a lot of tough trials when he first joined the guild, but eventually he realized he could make a wish upon Jirachi to become the best explorer in the world. After a scuffle with some thieves trying to trick him, he's saved by the guild, and finally gets his chance to ask Jirachi for a wish. But after thinking it through, he decides upon a new idea. He asks Jirachi for new members to join the guild, so that he can be their mentor and show them the ropes. And surely enough, after that day, your character and their partner show up to join the guild. Bidoof is overjoyed to have you and excitedly shows you around. Isn't he sweet? Well, he's also really powerful. It's just a theory, but how much exactly did Bidoof's wish impact the course of the game? Would you have not joined the guild at all if he didn't wish for it? Without you, would the world have been saved at all? Was there even any imminent danger until Bidoof wished for you? This little beaver may have set in motion the events of the entire game, just by wishing for a new friend. And well, if he did, we'd best thank him because he just gave us one of the best experiences in all of Pokemon. Everybody say thank you, Bidoof. Well, thanks for watching this video. I really love Mystery Dungeon and all of its characters. I really hope Gates to Infinity fans look forward to my eventual playing of it, because I'm really excited to give it a fair chance and talk about what I thought of it. Until then, I'll be sure to see you in whatever kind of video I decide to make next. Thank you so much for watching.